The third step is the blood clot formation. The third step in the process of bleeding is the blood clot formation. Blood clot formation needs the interaction of the different clotting factors which are usually present in inactive state or circulating in the blood in inactive form, and with exposure to the injury or with the start of bleeding, there are group of factors start to become activated in order to produce the following. The first step is the formation of prothrombinase. The first step is the formation of prothrombinase or prothrombin activator. This prothrombinase converts the inactive prothrombin into the active one, which is the thrombin, and thrombin is going to produce activation or conversion of the fibrinogen into the fibrin threads, and these fibrin threads are going to be attached side to side and end to end in order to form a meshwork or a network of fibrin threads closing the site of injury. So, first step is prothrombinase formation. Second step is the conversion of the formation of thrombin. Third step is the formation of the fibrin threads. So, how can we form prothrombinase? Prothrombinase is formed either by the extrinsic pathway or the intrinsic pathway. Extrinsic pathway and intrinsic pathway, these are two pathways, means the interaction of the different clotting factors with the presence of calcium. Calcium in the extrinsic pathway interacts with tissue factor, which is factor 3. This tissue factor coming or released from the injured tissues interacts with the calcium, and when it interacts with calcium, it's going to produce activation of factor 10. Activated factor 10 with activated factor 5, and the presence of calcium will form the prothrombinase. So, activated factor 10 with activated factor 5 with calcium will form the prothrombinase. The intrinsic pathway is dependent on a process called contact. Contact of the blood with what? With the collagen. Contact with the blood with collagen will produce activation of factor 12. Activation of factor 12. Activated factor 12 will produce activation of more clotting factors like factor 9, like factor 8, like factor 11, and when these factors are activated, we are going at the end to activate factor 10. Activated factor 10 with active factor 5 and calcium will produce what? Formation of prothrombinase, and prothrombinase convert prothrombin into thrombin. So, thrombin convert fibrinogen into fibrin. So at the end we are having the fibrin threads. These fibrin threads are loose, needs to be more tough or stabilized, and in this condition we will need the fibrin stabilizing factor, or we mention it as a factor 13. In the presence of thrombin, activated factor 13 come and form bonds between the different fibrin threads, produce stabilization of the clot. Then this step is followed by something which is called clot retraction. Clot retraction means it is the ability of the platelets that is present in between the fibrin threads to contract, and when they contract, they are going to approximate the fibrin threads together. Tightening the fibrin clot and releasing a fluid from the fibrin threads known as serum. This serum is plasma minus clotting factor. Plasma without clotting factor. We have here thrombin. This thrombin usually produces what? Activation of conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin, and it also produces activation of the different clotting factors. It produces activation of the extrinsic and intrinsic pathway. So we can consider this as a positive feedback regulation or a positive feedback mechanism, that thrombin can increase the formation of thrombin. Thrombin increase the formation of prothrombinase, converting more prothrombin into thrombin.